Do we want to give it to like 102, Wes? I still have
Yeah.
people filing in.
Yeah, let's give it to 102.
Perfect.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, how's it going, Linda?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Excellent.
Just gonna give it one more minute here. I still have people trying to come into the waiting room and get
Mhm.
into the meeting. All right. So if anyone misses any part of this, recording is going to be sent to the membership right after the meeting. Otherwise, I guess we can get started.
Yes, thank you very much all for your ongoing support and for joining us today. We're going to go through a few things that are relating to the industry. Again, it's been a very busy time for us at the CSAAA. We have probably the least firearms friendly government that I've ever been a part of, that's for sure. And they continue to attack us from many different angles. So today we're going to get started on some regulatory updates. First off, we have the proposed magazine regulations. The CSAAA has been actively consulting with different policy and lawmakers and the Director of Firearms Policy to reduce the impact of the upcoming magazine regulations under Bill C-21. So Bill C-21 passed, and now they're going through the regulatory framework to try to draft how the regulations are going to look and when they're going to come into effect. That does require a committee stage, and that's why it hasn't been advancing past where we are at now, because of course our government is not sitting, and therefore neither are committees. So this will not advance until after the government reconvenes. Um, we have been informed that the proposed regulations will be released before they become law, and they will be open for public comment. So we strongly encourage all businesses to provide feedback on how these regulations will negatively affect their industry and their own business. CSAAA will be meeting with the RCMP and firearms policy representatives again this week, and we will share updates as they become available. We are going to continue to lobby to have them those regulations as soft as possible and the most business friendly as possible, but we are going to have to deal with them. They have been passed into law. There is no way for us to duck those regulations. Of course, unless there was an election called and we don't go sit in Parliament, that would be one way that things could get fixed. On March 7th, the Canadian government announced another round of firearms prohibitions by order in council. So this is different, of course, than the actual regulatory updates from the magazine laws. This was done by order in council, so it does not require government to be sitting. It's similar to an executive order south of the border. And again, our prime minister did this. The latest ban includes many historical firearms, like the M1 carbine is probably the most prolific and the most recognizable. And it does come with an amnesty on this list of guns expiring in March of 2026. All the previous prohibitions, their amnesty still expires at the end of October of this year. The firearms that have been banned in December of last year and March of this year are not yet eligible for compensation under the compensation programs. And I think we all know that these prohibitions are seen as political moves to appeal the anti-gun groups and urban voters. It has had significant harm to our industry. We've seen it, and we are sure hoping that any future change in government will reverse these measures. There is, we did participate in meetings with the committee that was formed on this prohibition. We are strictly adhering to a non-disclosure agreement or NDA. But I can tell you that there was a lot of work done by the CSAAA board of directors and staff to try to get that as soft as possible through providing data and basically arguing to save every gun possible. Nobody wants any prohibitions. We all want zero of them, of course. But you know, at the end of the day, the smaller the number, the better it is for our industry. So we're sorry that we lost some, but we hope that the regulations as soft as could ever have been compared to where it started. So the next step, we have the yellow flag laws. This definitely affects the consumer groups a little more than us. However, it is a spooky expansion in firearms policy. It allows for the CFOs, or the chief firearms officers, to temporarily suspend an individual's license for up to 30 days if there is reasonable grounds to suspect the person is no longer eligible to hold it. During the suspension, the individual may retain possession of their firearms but cannot use them to acquire new ones. This provision came into force on March the 7th. If the CFO determines the individual is still eligible, the suspension is lifted. If the CFO finds the person is ineligible, the license may be revoked. The reason this is so concerning is that, you know, we have this innocent until proven guilty mantra in our country. However, we continue to see that firearms owners and firearms license holders have the erosion of those rights. There's no burden of proof in some of this stuff. It can literally just be accusations. And there's a real lack of transparency in how the CFOs determine reasonable grounds for suspensions. But we've seen some, you know, that have come through recently with just straight accusations of uttering threats and stuff like that. And we're concerned that, you know, with the lack of appeal process and with the lack of burden of proof, there could be some nefarious accusations placed just to get people to lose their firearms or to get them to lose their license. So I know that the reason for it, of course, is to enhance public safety and try to remove firearms from the hands of people that they believe are unsafe. However, there seems to be a lot of room here for there to be some activity, which could be some false accusations, and I think it's concerning for every gun owner. Next up, we have the confiscation program update. So for everyone that is aware, the confiscation program is up and running, and the federal government is allowing businesses to produce claims for them if they like. There is no, of course, it's not necessary for any business to participate if they don't want to. This is strictly voluntary. They have had a much higher than expected claims list. Public safety has now capped the number of confiscatable parts to 200 per business, and but the receivers are not included in that limit. So just as a sidebar, if any business has over 200 parts they want to claim, and they do have upper receivers, it doesn't matter if it's an upper or a lower receiver, you can assemble parts into it, and then it does not count towards your 200 cap limit. So if you have uppers available and you have extra barrels and you want to put them together, you can get compensated for as many upper and lower receivers as you have. And Jen has asked if you've encountered any issue with the program, please let her know, and we have access to the administrative team to lodge any complaints or concerns. So please let us know if you have any. And of course, businesses have up till April 30th to submit a claim. So again, the amnesty does not expire April 30th, and we don't know if there's going to be an extension on that date for the compensation program. However, we do know that as it sits right now, that the deadline to submit that is April the 30th, if you want to be guaranteed to get some compensation for your firearms. Next up, we have the U.S.-Canada tariffs. The ongoing trade war between our countries has put a strain on our industry for sure. Our retaliatory tariffs are going to drive up the cost of U.S.-made products, especially on the guns and ammunition front, and adding additional financial pressure on businesses. Given the volatility of the situation, we strongly recommend that businesses consult with their customs brokers for the most up-to-date guidance. You can also talk to your lawyers, but we found the custom brokers are the best source of information. We work closely with the CFIB, and we cover CFIB memberships for all our members. The CFIB is actively monitoring the trade war and advocating on behalf of business. Again, they have some great resources. There's a webinar on Thursday, March the 20th. If anybody has any questions or concerns about the administration of the tariff situation. And of course, it's our belief that the retaliatory tariffs are not the right solution and that they harm our small businesses and consumers. We will continue to advocate for policies that protect our industry and support our members. Like Jen said, this situation is very fluid. It's changing all the time. So it's going to be very difficult for us to update the membership without confusing them. So please, if you are an importer, please take the time to conduct or contact your customs brokers and make sure that you're not being on the hook for any large tariff bills. At this point in time, I will turn over the meeting to Jen as she is going to go through some administrative stuff, including the AGM and the election process.
Thank you so much. All right. So I'm just going to go over a few basic administrative things, and then we will open the floor up for any questions or comments that you guys have. So our next roundtable is also our AGM. That is going to be held on June 16th. That's a Monday again, 1 o'clock. We are opening up nominations for our board of directors. So applications or nominations can be sent to us. I'm going to send an email explaining that further, as well as a link after this meeting. So we have 3 positions open, or terms coming up due, I should say, vice president and the director at large. We have 2 of those positions opening up. So if you'd like to nominate someone or put your name forward for either of those, there will be a form you can fill out and you can submit that to me. These are 3-year terms, so your term would be from 2025 to 2028. And if you have any other questions about that, you can definitely let me know. Give me a call or an email. The nomination and applications close April 16th. And then voting will open up then and end after our AGM. Legends nominations are also open. So we started celebrating notable people in the industry, legends based on longevity and volunteership in 2023 through Legends Banquets. So you guys can nominate anybody that you feel has made a great impact on the industry, on the businesses, and they will be carefully considered by our board of directors, our Legends committee. And the selection process is based on points. So, longevity in the industry, volunteer work, board work, contributions, everything like that. And again, if you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. You'll have seen some industry classifieds emails coming through once a week. That's free for members. So members can post one ad on that classifications email that goes out to thousands of business contacts that we have. And it's basically for business to business advertising. Any questions about that? Definitely let me know. We have a lot of submissions already, and we have a submission form that you can fill out. And our gunsmithing program, we've had great news with that. Everything is looking great. They've had a lot of meetings with the board, and they're definitely interested in hosting such a program. But to fast track it, the program director is asking that businesses or employees write into the 2 program assistants named, which were also included in the email you would have received in your inbox last week, just expressing some interest in the program, just to really speed things up and get that implemented as fast as possible. The more interest they see, then the more likely they are to fast track that. And that brings us to the end. So if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, use the raise hand function and we'll put you on queue to speak. For people that are dialing in, that would be *3. Just give everyone a few minutes.
Just as a side note for the Legends nominations as well, you can nominate more than one person. There's not just one person per nominator. You can nominate as many as you like.
Good point. All right, so I'm not seeing, oh, I do see a hand. JR, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. You can unmute yourself, JR.
Hi, thanks, Jen. This is to either you or Wes. In regards to potential regulations on FRT requirements for firearms, have you heard much more? I mean, they backed down from that claim in December, but I'm sure it's on the horizon. So is there anything you can talk to about that?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for bringing it up. It's tied actually to the magazine regulations as well in Bill C-21. So again, there needs to be committee, and there has been the initial meetings of that committee have taken place, but they haven't expanded past that again because they've got a suspension of Parliament. But yes, they are still looking to advance forward with that regulation, and again, that would be a regulation where the FRT would become a requirement and not just a suggestive situation where we become law of the land. And again, we voiced our concerns to that, as well as gave some recommendations if that has to be accepted as new regulation, as far as needing to have guaranteed timelines and some kind of appeal process, and a lot of things that currently I think you would probably agree are wrong with the FRT process. So we're hoping to influence that decision in one way or other, but as of right now, that stuff is also on hold. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much.
All right, and we will obviously update everybody as things progress. We have a few meetings with firearm policy coming up in the next a couple of weeks. So yeah, once we get more information, we'll definitely keep everyone up to date. Texas, you are next. You can unmute yourself.
Hello? You
Hello.
hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I had sent in a letter to both of the girls individually that were on the list from the college, and I also BCC'd a copy to you. Did you get that okay?
I did receive that. I haven't read through it just yet, but I was planning to today. But thank you very, very much for doing that. That's
Well,
extremely helpful.
I just thought maybe that'd be a good point to make, and when people are sending it in, if they send you a copy as well, then you'd have an idea on how many members are actually responding.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and it's nice to see what's being said. That way, whenever we form our own statement, we can pick from whatever you guys are suggesting. So that's a really good point. Next time I send out that communication, I'm going to ask people to CC us on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Ed Burlew, you're next.
Hi there.
There we go.
I want to go back to what when the issue JR is talking about the FRTs, and also with respect to what the FRT is. Presently, there is absolutely zero legislation by way of any act or regulation that gives the FRT any basis in law. It's merely, as best described, advice among friends. The only place as an expert opinion, because that's what it is if we're doing an export and global affairs is requiring it. But right now, it's not even something that you can take into court and say, oh, see, here is the FRT opinion, and that's law. It's not that way. That's what I mean. I proved that and had the DOJ go through that back in 2014, and that's not changed. So I want to see this regulation, because I haven't seen it, that would say that an FRT is needed. And I dispute the fact that anybody would say that the FRT becomes the law of the land. because until the RCMP are empowered, or the SFSS is empowered by direct legislation pursuant to all administrative law remedies to obtain and challenge such an opinion, it is not the law of the land. It may be a protocol requirement, but that's why I have to see this regulation. I haven't seen it. So if somebody could send it to me, I'd really like to see it, because I really have quite an interest in this. And I think then we need to have precise discussion about this. Okay, second point is with respect to the new regulation where they're talking about the suspensions and what is a, I guess it's called, what is a, oh boy, we call it a prohibition. Okay, but they say they're going to go look at these things under civil court. So that, in other words, if you get an order against you that you can't even talk to your kids during the divorce, you can't get to the matrimonial home because of in the divorce or family law proceeding, that your license will be suspended. What's being overlooked in all of that, in my reading of the paper around that, is it doesn't talk about the fact that the certificates on the registrations, if the license is revoked, are removed and are gone forever. And that would be another topic that does definitely have to be addressed. Because once again, that's confiscation of property and you can't do anything about it. I am up against so many people having their guns seized, having their licenses seized. And I am filing both Section 74 challenges for their licenses and for the registrations, that it's becoming my main occupation. And I'm also disappointed that most of the lawyers, and I'm going to say 99% of them, have no idea what to do or how to do it. And there's no education going on for that. And I want to do the education. But apparently I'm too right-wing for the Canadian Criminal Lawyers Association to even consider me. But this news has to get out. It has to be taught. It's not being taught to the judges either. They don't understand it. Anyway, that's my talk. I think that I need to have better, closer involvement with the board, and I'd appreciate that opportunity to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. If I could just a couple comments. We have not seen a finalized regulation on that as well. We have we do understand it's still in the committee stage. We do understand as well what you say about this becoming the first time that it's been entrenched into law. I think I would just mention that operationally, a lot of us have been dealing with FRT challenges for years because it is a requirement of some of our import and export regulations. And we've had struggles with some of these classification issues with the FRT in the past. So we agree that it's a very troubling thing that that law enforcement is being empowered, and that all of a sudden we're seeing the RCMP and the people in the lab being administered as lawmakers instead of law enforcers, and it's a troubling trend for sure. But and then lastly,
let me do a follow. Right now on my desk, and I had to interrupt doing it to talk to you guys, is I'm doing another FRT technical opinion for a manufacturer to go to SFSS. And it's on a new gun. It's on something that hasn't been, previously looked at by SFSS. And so that's the type of thing. I mean, I've done a lot of these for the last 20 years and been successful in pushing my client's position. And anyway, so yeah, it's something whereby it takes a lot of skill and experience, and many verifiers and importers have that skill and experience. But I too have been doing this for a long time and having a lot of success with challenging them, even changing them. And some of these guys in SFSS, I'm going to describe them as being desk jockeys. And when you point out issues to them, all of a sudden they get a little smarter, or they say, "Oh yeah, never thought of that." But also the criteria is still loose. And we learned about that in the OIC cases. Anyway, I think I've said enough for now. And Wes is very aware of what's going on, and I thank him for his leadership in this.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ed. And yeah, it's that's why we've in part of our discussions with them, we have asked for a more transparent and distinct appeal process, because we have seen lots of classification mistakes in the past, and I know you've had been a part of many of them as well. And the process is very convoluted, and the decision making is not always quite transparent. So I do appreciate the comments, and I do think that the board will continue to be in touch with you offline here of where things go in the future, and make sure you're kept in the loop.
Thank you.
All right, I'm not seeing any more hands just yet. So, oh, JR, your hand's up again. Thank you.
It was just at the end. I just want to say we had a booth at the Toronto Sportsman Show, and if anybody's thinking about it in the future, it was an epic show. So if you're looking for some way to get your brand out there, or even for sales, people were there wanting to buy and spend money. And I think the firearms side, with TACOM going away, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. So if you're on the fence on that show, definitely worthwhile. We'd like more firearms company.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much for the feedback.
I waved at you because I was at the CSSAA booth, but you weren't there, JR. We missed you.
I was in Belgium drinking beer. Sorry, Muddy.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. Yeah, looks like that is it. Perfect. Anything final, Wes?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks again for the support from membership, and even though we have these quarterly roundtables, which we're happy to have, if you have anything in between that you need clarification or discussion on, please reach out to Jen. She's been fantastic and is ready to assist. And yeah, hopefully we can get a change in federal government somewhere down the road to something a little more firearms friendly. And I'll leave it to you for the final send off, Jen.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So as mentioned, I will send a copy of this video, an overview, as well as all of the links that you need to nominate or apply for the board, or to send the emails to the gunsmithing committee and nominate a legend. And yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely give me a call or email, and we'll be very happy to help you. Have an awesome rest of your day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Take care.